already at the every week. Welcome to Bleav in Panthers here on the Bleav Podcast Network. Stu was here. He'll be here in just a second. I had to pop in, pop back out. The Panthers victory Tuesday, 36-22 winners over the Las Vegas Raiders. And to be honest, it wasn't even close. We'll talk about the Panthers and Andy Dalton. We'll talk about Dave Canales. We'll talk about all of that. It's a tell them why you're happy victory Tuesday here on Bleav in Panthers. We're just not starting. We're so happy that we can't even figure out where we're supposed to be on the screen. I'm all over the place. Let's just go ahead and get this thing going. It's Bleav in Panthers. Let's go.
Jonathan Stewart gets in, fights for more yardage. Stewart to the mouth of the goal line. Touchdown! Wow, that's just pure Stewart right there. That's a big-time run by Jonathan Stewart.
Welcome to Bleav in Carolina Panthers here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Do you believe? Rate and subscribe the show on all major podcast platforms and subscribe to our social media channels on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Video available weekly at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Do you believe?
And welcome to the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks, brought to you by Bet Online. Desmond Johnson, Sports Illustrated beat writer Schuyler Callihan, and the Panthers' all-time leading rusher Jonathan Stewart in the house. We are celebrating a victory Tuesday. The Panthers get their first victory of the 2024 NFL season, 36-22 over the Las Vegas Raiders on the road. This is the one with the red rifle. Andy Dalton coming to the rescue. It was announced yesterday he is the quarterback for next week as the Panthers will welcome the 0-3 Cincinnati Bengals to Bank of America Stadium. We got a loaded show for you today. Instead of tell them why you're mad, we're doing tell them why you're happy. We rarely get a chance to do this where we can go through some of the stuff we really enjoyed watching on Sunday, watching that game, or whatever throughout the weekend that made you happy. You can actually chime in here. Of course, it's open mailbag, meaning that if you're watching this on Facebook Watch or YouTube, you can contribute from here with comments. You can let us know how you felt about the game, like Devin Adams here, speaking on Andy Dalton. It feels like a cloud has been lifted somewhat above the Panthers franchise after just one win. And we typically don't like to toot our horn here at Bleav in Panthers, but we're going to, toot because we were actually the ones last week that felt pretty positive about the switch with Andy Dalton and the fact that we thought that maybe the domino effect would affect the rest of the team. And that's literally exactly what happened. The whole team felt juiced on Sunday just from simply changing the leader, changing it from basically a rookie to a veteran QB that's been there before and done that, and it felt like everybody was really playing for him. So we'll have some video. We've got all kinds of audio and stuff going on as well. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything, though, a quick word from our sponsors over at Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on over $200,000 mega contests and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get on the action. Bet Online, the game starts here, and where we will start is the performance of Andy Dalton. Who would have had it on their bingo cards, guys, that the first quarterback in the NFL this season to throw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game would be Andy Dalton for the Panthers after we watched the first 2 weeks of the season. Just give me while I'm getting stuff set up here in the back, give me some initial reactions to what you saw on Sunday. I think I was expecting a competitive game. I don't know if I was expecting that. Like, I'm glad. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm very excited going forward. But just initial thoughts here. Who wants to go first? Stu, give me your thoughts on what was that? And is that sustainable? Maybe that's the best way I should ask it as a former player for what they were doing on Sunday. Is that a sustainable thing going into this home game against the Bengals? Is he frozen? He might be frozen.
Yeah, I think he is frozen.
He is frozen.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll say this. Maybe I am the hex because the last 3 wins, this one and then the 2 last year, I was unable either to attend or watch most of the game. So maybe that's part of the issue. So last year, the first win against Houston, it was me and my wife's 1-year anniversary, and she was going to kill me if I went to the game instead of doing something there. So I had to step away for that one. The second game against Atlanta, I was really sick. Didn't want to affect the rest of the people in the press box. So if it was up to me, I would have went. But anyways, that was the second game. And then this past Sunday, we had our baby shower. So it was during the game, and I got in the car, and I looked at the score, turned the game on my laptop, and it was 21-7. I was like, wait, let me refresh.
Yeah.
Make sure that I got it on the right game. It's the right year. Like, I just want to make sure. And sure enough, it was. So I haven't got to watch the entire game from start to finish just yet in terms of going through and actually, like, watching the tape. I saw the TV copy of it, but I like to go back through and kind of comb through it all.
Yeah.
But just from what I have seen, it looked like a much better operation offensively. It just looked like an offense that was running with a veteran quarterback, and they had answers for everything. Luke Kuechly talked about it with Kay Adams. Dave Canales talked about it in the postgame presser, talked about it yesterday too. Anytime they brought pressure, they knew what to do with it. They knew how to get the ball to Chuba Hubbard in the passing game. They knew how to get Deontay Johnson the ball early in the route. And that was some of the things that you saw Bryce Young struggling with in those first two games. If that first read wasn't there, it started to become panic time. And I don't know if they can turn back to Bryce at any point this season. And I'll say this, like, if Andy keeps playing like this, he's not only going to continue being the starter, but he's going to be the starter in 2025.
Yeah, buddy. Because
now let me say too, like, I'm not sitting here pounding the table for Andy Dalton to be the franchise quarterback. We know that he's, going on 37. He's only got so much more football left ahead of him. But if this turns out to be the case where Bryce just isn't going to work out in Carolina, Andy Dalton's not a bad option. Now, he's not going to be what he was on Sunday every single week. That is not sustainable.
Yeah.
But he's going to give you competent quarterback play and be that Band-Aid, be that bridge until you can find his heir apparent. And it's a much better situation now because you feel like you have a chance every week. Whereas Bryce Young, you were just kind of hoping that would be the week that he kind of turned the corner. And I just don't see a scenario where he can come back this season and start unless it's like the final 2 or 3 games of the year and they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah, it was weird. I was seeing, and for those that are here looking for Jonathan Stewart, his connection was freezing up. He'll be back in shortly. He's just moving around so he can get back into the thing. That was my thing too. Watching it, it was so night and day in terms of the offense moving with Andy Dalton. And the thing that struck me was that they're not calling anything different than what they did the first 2 weeks. They're calling the same stuff. It's not even like they opened up the playbook or anything. They literally just ran the same stuff, and Andy just took shots down the field. And I'll be honest, man, some of the shots that he threw, the one to Thielen in the end zone, like, you can't throw it better than that. Like, I don't care who you are, Pat Mahomes, whoever, like, he threw that thing on a rope, and it went between 2 defenders to the perfect spot for Thielen. He was doing it all day. Like, literally, I think that throw, I think it was in the third quarter. That was when, because I was already out of my mind by that point anyway, like, how are we going to lose this game? And like, what are we going to do? Like, this can't be real. And by the time he did that one, I'm just like, all right, we have stumbled on something here. But
the one thing I said yesterday when I was on with WFNZ and ESPN Charlotte was when Andy was in the game yesterday, or Sunday, I should say. I keep thinking yesterday was the game. When he was throwing the ball, he had conviction in every single throw. There wasn't no hesitation, no second guessing. It was, boom, this is where I'm going with the football. With Bryce, even when he did finally throw the ball, he kind of looked unsure of himself. And that's the difference between a guy that's still trying to find his footing in the league versus some guy that's been here a decade and a half and knows, hey, I've just got to trust my guys to make a play.
If you guys are in here, especially in the comment section, if you're watching this on YouTube or on Twitter or on Facebook, please feel free to share this. It's actually open mailbag, so we actually do interaction with the fans while we're doing this live. Bleav in Panthers brought to you by Bet Online. Before we get to Stu's comments, I did want to show Dave Canales in the locker room immediately after the game. And I just want to hear the man speak. It just shows how much the players respect him and the decision that I think he made, which had to be hard to bench Bryce and to bring in Andy Dalton. But it also felt like that a lot of the vets on the team wanted this to happen. And once it happened, it just turned it into something else. And this is Coach Canales in the locker room addressing the team. I'm just going to let the whole 2 minutes go.
Let's go! Let's go! That's Panthers football!
how we play football. That's our football. Run the ball when you want to. Stop the run. Throw it over their heads. Keep it from doing it. We got some guys we got to talk about. Mike Jack got a pick. We got some sacks here. Okay, give me a hey. Here we go. Peavy got one. LB got one. Clowney got one. Andy Dalton, first quarterback this season in the NFL with 300-plus yards and 3 touchdowns. Career high for Deontay, 8 for 122 and a touchdown. Oh my! I love it. The last time we had a 100-yard receiver and a 100-yard rusher was week 12 of 2022. Chuba got 100. Hey, listen. It's the process. We had a great week. What did you expect was going to happen on Sunday? We had a great day, okay? You guys battled the whole time. I know they got some stuff there on us at the end, guys, but it's about appreciating each other, playing for each other, and trusting this process. What's our standard? Maintain the standard. We don't change. We don't change that at all. Everybody good? Yes, sir. By the way.
Boss man. Okay, ball.
I'll play that because we needed that. We needed to, for real, like as a fan, we needed to see that. Like it was cathartic on Sunday. I didn't expect it to be, but man, it's made my whole, like I've had a car breakdown yesterday and I haven't cared. I'm literally like floating. Stu, give us your thoughts, man. As a former Carolina Panther, you've seen the ups and downs of this franchise for a long time. And to see them break through on Sunday and the way they did it and the way they responded to Coach Canales from a player's perspective, just give me your thoughts on how they played on Sunday.
Man, it was a brilliant game all around. Very fun to watch. And again, last week, everybody, I don't know what it is about people kind of jumping into a ship that they don't really belong in. As far as, the chatter, oh, what are they doing? Andy Dalton. We told y'all forgot Andy Dalton was that guy.
You do.
Three-time Pro Bowler. He's a vet in this league, and he knows the process. He understands the highs and the lows of this football game, right? He understands it because he's played, for the Cincinnati Bengals, right? The Cincinnati Bengals were terrible at a time. Andy Dalton came in there and revived them, right? And he understands what it's like to go through adversity. And so you put him in a position like this, what better person? Andy Dalton did a fantastic job this game, and I hear a lot of what I've heard about, this week and just the messaging from the team and the post game, the practices this past week was it's all about us. You believe in yourself, and it's all about the locker room. And I love that messaging because those are messages that I've heard from Coach Rivera, right? I've heard these coaches throughout my entire, football career, on a stage, right? College, whenever you have your back up against a wall and you have, the media attacking you, fans attacking you, whatever it is, the only thing that matters is the guys in that locker room. And I love that, Dave Canales, he is preaching believe in each other, right? I believe in you. And what we saw last week was a coach make a huge stride as a decision maker, and not just a decision maker, but a communicator, right? Communicating what's taking place, being transparent. It takes a lot of trust for players to go out and play the way they did. And it's easy to play this game when you trust coaching, when you trust, the plan, because it was executed as if they were all on the same page. And that's what I saw on Sunday. Everybody was aligned. Everybody understood where they were supposed to be. The timing of the routes were amazing. The play calling, understanding, cover 2, cover 1. What do we want to get out of this? Like down in situations. You look at the spacing, right? The formations, everything was, everyone, there was a lot of tight formations where the receivers are coming in and allowing for, the receivers to be able to create space by the numbers, by the hashes, by allowing for the formations to be tighter, also allows for a great play action, right? Understanding that the defense has to be, drawn to the line of scrimmage to stop the run. And you're stopping the run because we are committed to the run. We ran the ball 31 times. 31 times. Chuba had 21 carries. Dog. Right? And so that was a formula. That's the formula. You got to feed Chuba Hubbard. And I don't know what it is about people that don't really believe in Chuba Hubbard. This man is getting yards after carry like that's what he does. It's what he's been doing, right? He's a physical runner. And when you add an offensive line that loves to block, that wants to block, I mean, Robert Hunt, my goodness.
Dog.
We've been saying it. Like the addition to it's just 2 guards, right? And hopefully Damian Lewis, we need to get an update on him. But Robert Hunt, I mean, I remember vividly Ryan Khalil were playing the New York Giants in the Meadowlands, the last game that was in that stadium. Ryan Khalil is pulling on an outside zone play, and he's outrunning me towards the end of the game because I'm dead tired, and I was rushing for like 200 and something yards rushing. But like having guys that are part of the DNA and the culture to want to whoop somebody's tail, that's what we have right now. And, the operation by Andy Dalton spreading the ball around. I mean, come on, guys. Like 7 receivers with multiple receptions.
Everybody getting the love.
Just everybody getting, everybody can eat now. And so, and what it does, it makes the defense just like, I don't know what to do, coach. I mean, whenever you play in a game, bro, and you have an opportunity to basically just play smash mouth football to the point where, you're so physical that you making guys making business decisions, right? Antonio Pierce called his own team out, or Antonio Pierce called his own team out as far as people making business decisions, meaning you finding out about your team because we played a physical game. And business decisions, for those that don't know what business decisions are, is basically making it a personal decision to save yourself.
I'm going to get out the way.
I'm going to get out the way because I got kids.
Yeah, I got to go home.
What you don't realize, though, is you're going to make that decision on national TV. Everybody's watching.
And take.
So you keep on making those decisions, you're gonna be out of a job.
Then
your kids gonna be looking at you like, Dad, I'm hungry. Why you let that grown man do you like that?
I want to show a couple of bits of media from off of Twitter. There's some folks asking for them in there, and I'm like, don't mind if we do. Look at this picture real quick. This freeze frame of the pocket from Sunday. When was the last time we saw a pocket like that in Carolina? Like, this is why you brought in Robert Hunt. This is why you brought in Damian Lewis. Like, look at this. Look at this. Like, it's crazy.
Let's talk about Austin Corbett for a second, because I don't want to say that we on this show, because I think we all kind of believed in Corbett, but we just didn't know. Like, he hadn't played center full time in a really long time, and it was a big talking point all offseason. He kept saying to us in the media, like, guys, there's nothing to worry about. I've been repping here all the time. That dude has been phenomenal. I don't even know that he's given up a single pressure at this point in the season, let alone a sack.
And it's only going to get better if we play a game like this, the way it was so balanced, you can start opening things up for your playbook. Now you have people really confused. You got a guy back there. You guys said it earlier, Andy Dalton out there making decisive throws, not hesitating at all, meaning that the receivers are where they're supposed to be. They're creating separation. I mean, there was a play that they had Xavier Legette over the middle, right? OTB.
Yes. Yep.
And I love the decision just to throw it. I mean, you have two guys mugged up on the center, right? So vividly, he's understanding what's happening protection-wise. You know what I'm saying? Like, two guys mugged up, meaning the two linebackers are over the center. That means there's 6 guys at the line of scrimmage at that point. Those 2 guys back out. He understands when they back out, they're dropping into zone coverage. Zone coverage, you know where the opening is going to be. Now you have Xavier Legette going over the ball, sitting right there in between the split of the 2 backers dropping out. Easy decision. I don't need to look any further. I know I can make this throw, and I'm going to make it, and he's going to catch it. And then he gets yards after catch.
Yes.
Like,
this got brought here. Yep.
Like, you throw to what you know, period.
And it's so, like, to Schuyler's point too, it was so decisive. Like, everywhere he went, it was like watching a quarterback not have to think and just play. And you could tell through the week from Andy's comments and just his smile on his face that he was going to be ready going into this game. But I also noticed too, Dave Canales had that LeBron James back against the wall look on his face, like the whole day. He was just like locked in. You know, like when LeBron is like down 3-2 in a series or whatever, and he's not like joking around and dapping up people pregame, doing dunks and stuff in the lineup. He just has this like stoic face thing going on. And that's what Dave Canales had all day Sunday. It's like, all right, we're here on business. I wanted to show this because a lot of people are asking for it, and we're giving out flowers today. It's the Robert Hunt block on this run by Chuba that Stu was just talking about a minute ago here.
He sent that dude into orbit.
When I jumped off my couch when this happened here, this is courtesy of Edgar Salmingo Jr., who's a huge Panther contributor on Twitter here.
Category so far for the Panthers.
Watch out here. Yeah, get out of here.
Hubbard's got first down and more. And the lead blockers, Spillane, unable to
like
get
Chuba
to
didn't know
him.
what to do.
So
what makes that even more impressive is that he did it on the run, and the guy was not running necessarily directly at him.
Yeah. Like a sack of potatoes.
He just basically put his arm out and just shoved him. Like that.
Yeah, move out the way.
Yeah, move.
Get out the way.
How demoralizing is it for?
And then Damian Lewis, he was like, all right, let me get my little chip in right here. Let me get my little chip in. Let him know that we need to stay down there. Stay down there.
Great.
You know what I noticed too in that Canales post-game locker room is like, you go back to Frank's last year, his first win. Didn't it just feel like this big sigh of relief from not only Frank, but the entire locker room? It's just like, all right, holy crap. Like we don't feel that pressure, at least in that moment. Or Dave Canales and it just felt like it was expected, right?
Expected,
yes.
Yeah.
Not only expected, but it was also like, okay, now here we go. This is how we're going to play the rest of the year. And this is where it gets dangerous, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. Carolina's going to win this game this week against Cincinnati.
Do you believe?
Right now. Oh, yeah.
We've turned Schuyler, dude. We've turned Schuyler.
Yeah. Here we go. We're going on our train right now. Going on a little par train, birdie train.
Excellent.
I don't know that this is going to be a playoff team right now, but I'm just saying when you get a team that is starting to believe, they're starting to find confidence, they have a little swagger to them now. You come off a game like that and you come back home to your own turf against a team that's coming in on a short week because Cincinnati played yesterday. They're 0-3. They're frustrated as all hell. They're searching for answers. They're starting to panic. Their back's against the wall. You could argue that there's more pressure on the Bengals this week than the Carolina Panthers.
Agree.
So,
the national media is still kind of blowing us off like, oh, that was a fluke, blah, blah, blah.
I firmly believe. I don't know how. I don't know the score. I don't know how much comfortability there will be in this game, but Carolina's going to win on Sunday.
This is a great segue.
And it's a short week for Cincinnati, too.
Yeah, because they just played last night. So I thought about that when I was like, oh, the Bengals are playing right now. This real quick, too, from Robert Hunt, who was the first dog that Stu mentioned last week on our show when I asked the question, and they showed up on time. Yeah, this perfect segue, what Schuyler was just describing, going back home to BOA, is going to be the first home game probably
in 2 years. Or no.
I'm trying to think of the last home game that probably Cam Newton's homecoming. It's going to be the first home game since Cam Newton's homecoming where I feel like the local fans are genuinely looking forward to being there and actually cheering this on.
It's going to be Legends Week. You got all the legends back in town. Julius Peppers celebrating his Hall of Fame.
Gave me a little chill.
Bro, it's about to be crazy out here. Boy, I better show up and act out.
Show up, and I don't let these Bengal fans come in here and think they can do like what Steeler fans or others can do, come in here with the terrible towels and stuff. We ain't having that this Sunday. We're about to keep this party going. This was Robert Hunt talking about, he was asked about the negative stuff in the media. And if he heard any of it, he probably heard a little bit of it. He did have a little message for the fans. This is from our friend Vashti Hurt over at Carolina Blitz.
We the Panthers. It hasn't been pretty for us, you know what I mean? But today, hopefully that can, open up a lot of eyes, man. We got talent now. It ain't.
Well, there was a problem with the media. He didn't get it out there. But he was basically saying, don't come in here with those brown bags. Like, leave those at home. come correct. Cheer the Panthers on. See what we're doing. And to be honest, the main thing I took away from the game Sunday was that this is sustainable. This is literally the stuff we've been saying all year to do. Ball, stop the run, don't let them throw it on you.
Or better yet, bring the brown bags, and after the win, just go ahead and pass them over to the Bengals fans.
The Bengal fans. You guys probably need it. You're 0-4, so there you go.
Yeah, y'all 0-4. Give them brown bags to them Cincinnati Bengals. I'm already calling it. 0-4 Bengals leaving here, leaving the Bank of America Stadium. Man, it's a good time.
When's the last time I called for a win on a Tuesday show?
I don't know. I was sitting there thinking, I have no idea. I
ain't never seen this side of Schuyler ever.
Right?
Boy, he found Jesus. And okay. He got Jesus in his life.
That's all it takes for a victory Tuesday. It just makes everything better. The air smells better. The
and then Deontay Johnson, bro. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. See,
look, we unlocked Deontay Johnson. No, we didn't. Andy Dalton and Dave Canellas and that offensive line unlocked Deontay Johnson.
How do you think he feels? How do you think Deontay feels after that game?
On top of the world, bro, and ready to go out there and eat even more. I
feel like 6 days prior, he was like, did I make the wrong decision, like wanting to come here? Like, and then just to have it kind of lifted like that. And again, it's sustainable. You can do this every week. Like literally every week you can play that game that you just played. And I have seen people go, it's just the Raiders. The Raiders had just beat Baltimore the week before in Baltimore and had a top 5 pass defense going into this game. So it wasn't like
this is not a fluke. Flukes don't feel like this. I think somebody said that in the chat, but flukes don't feel like what we saw on Sunday.
They were dominant from the beginning to end. Like they got some stuff off at the very end, like Canales said, but
36 minutes of time of possession, 36 minutes, no turnovers, 3 defensive sacks, 1 interception, 7 receivers with multiple catches. Chuba Hubbard, 21 carries, 8 rushing first downs. Let me talk about this. 8 rushing first downs, probably could have been a little bit more, but that means that you really controlling the line of scrimmage, meaning them Raiders didn't want no parts of guys like Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, Austin Corbett, Taylor Moton, and Icky.
There's a warning poster out there for Max Crosby too.
Dude, Max Crosby was non-existent Sunday. I was shocked. Like, what is going on? Like, our offensive line is rated like top 5 in the NFL right now.
Listen, PFF grade across the board, left to right, 68.8, 69, 64.6, 78.9. 65.7.
Robert Hunt, a Pro Bowler?
And we just getting started.
I think he is. I think Robert Hunt is a Pro Bowler.
Absolutely. With that, he can be. He can go all pro.
I think
with that one block.
Like it literally is. We're just gonna put it on t-shirts and everything else. It's really weird when you pay a guy and that guy shows immediate results. Like, I mean, like bringing in a free agent like that, and like it's instant. Like, boom, okay, this is a difference maker, and he's been a difference maker.
Remember back in the spring when they gave him that deal, and everyone was saying that they overpaid for him, and I understand from a value perspective, they may have, but like we said at the time, it doesn't matter if you consider him being overpaid or not. If he delivers, it's a home run. And so far,
at this point, we underpaid him at this point. To me,
and look, they gonna mess around. Look, they might as well go ahead and start saving some pennies, nickels, and dimes for Deontay Johnson.
Yep, and Andy too, because Andy's on. I'm not sure of his deal. Like, I'm fine with a 37-year-old Andy Dalton being a bridge quarterback or whatever you want to call it, being the quarterback. I'm fine with him being the quarterback going forward. I'm fine with him being the quarterback next year. which we need to talk about this. It brings up the conversation about what do you do with Bryce Young? Because that was one of the things that was on Twitter. I was in the camp of trade him Monday. Then I was like, nah, there's no reason to trade him. Just hold on to him, see what you can do with him.
We still have a season to play.
We still have a season to play.
And the nature of the business is guys
get hurt.
Things happen.
Now, I will say this, but there was people online that were like, oh, y'all should let Bryce come in the last couple of series, whatever. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, no, you're not going to pour vinegar on my chocolate cake today. Like, we don't need it. Like, for real. Like, I respect the kid, love him to death. He seems like a good guy, but I don't need to have the last couple of minutes of the game I just watched just kind of disrupted by incompletions and indecisiveness, and just he needs some work. Just let him sit on the side like he did with a clipboard, hug everybody, and just watch, man. There's nothing wrong with watching the game and learning it from a different speed.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they need to do, is basically allow for Bryce Young to just continue to develop. This is an opportunity for him to see a guy like Andy Dalton take the reign for a little bit
and breathe,
and just let him breathe, you know. And I mean, Andy Dalton, dog, shout out to you, because you was ready. This is what a pro does. He's been backing up since he's been here, and he just walks in every time and he performs. I mean, the Seahawks game last year, he had a really good game.
Yeah, that was a shootout.
It was just a shoot. Yeah, exactly. So, like, for him to just be able to just throw on the helmet, go out there and deliver these throws, execute the offense, making sound decisions. I mean, that's all you can't ask for anything better than that. But also, shout out to Chad Johnson.
You know what? I'm going to find out. Go ahead.
Chad Johnson apologized to the entire Panther organization, players, fans, all that. That takes, you know, not a lot of people can just do that, right? Out loud on the content, all that. So shout out to you, brother, because the Panthers are like that. They are not what we thought they were, right? As a NFL community, I think everyone just kind of writes things off and they do it quickly because that's what they're being told to do. But for the Panthers, for the Panther fans, Panther Nation, this Bleav in Panthers podcast is all about belief. And
do you believe?
And I think Desmond and Schuyler, y'all had me going 9-8 for these Panthers this year.
Well, that's kind of collectively what the pod ended up with. Schuyler has much lower.
But I'm gonna go out and say we at least getting 10. The way we won that, the way we won that game, it was just too spot on. That was a football game. That was a product of the NFL, a true product.
I do remember it gets tough after the bye week. Like the Chiefs coming here, and it's like the Cowboys, the Eagles, and just somewhere in there's a hot spot. Yeah, but we ain't gonna worry about that. That's like a month and a half from now. Like we got to get there first. Like I'll be perfectly happy. We're 5-3 or whatever by the time we get to the bye.
But look, the Falcons lost, the Saints lost, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost, and I mean they lost. They ain't lose, they lost. And
we need to actually
trying to find themselves right now. They're like, what happened?
I had that on the around the NFL thing, talking about the NFC South, because think about where we were, guys, last week at this point. I all felt like we were 0-2, but it felt like we were 0-12. The NFC South looked like it might have been one of the best divisions in football all of a sudden. We didn't know what to do with the Saints. Like, we just had no idea what to do with them. The Falcons looked like they were on the verge of something. Tampa was the defending division winner, and Baker was playing great. All it took was 60 minutes on Sunday to turn everything upside down to the point where we're a game out of first. We're a game out of first place. Like, after one game out west, we come back home and we're in a position where we could wake up on Monday and we're tied for first in the division. Like, this is what we were talking about last week. People were trying to clown me in particular by saying that I think they built this roster to win now. Like, if you look at the roster they built in off season, it's not a bunch of young kids or whatever. It's a bunch of vets, like 1 year, 2 year type deals that you can kind of plug into these systems. And then deciding to sit Bryce Young, my reasoning was they looked at like, we have 15 games left. Like, we actually feel like we have a roster that we can compete with, but you can't evaluate the roster, nor can you evaluate Dave Canales and the coaching staff because of the quarterback play. Like, you've got to change the quarterback out and just see what you have. And if Andy goes out there and stinks it up, then we know what we got. But if he doesn't, and things go the way we think they're gonna, Now we got a whole different situation here, and we're not forced to play Bryce Young. He is with us until 2026 or whatever it is. We can choose to extend him a 5th year if we want to. We control where Bryce Young's going to go. We control what we're going to get for him if we trade him. Like, we control what he's going to do. Let him sit. He should, to Schuyler's point, he should have sat from game 1, and we might be 3-0 at this point. Well, I don't know. The Saints were on one week 1. I don't know what was happening in that game.
Well,
but
that's why the week 2 or this past week's win was so important, because if you lose that game and say you did trot Bryce Young back out there and you didn't make the change, you're sitting there 0-3, and you will have guys check out, because even the new guys are thinking like, man, I came to be a part of this, and this isn't working either. Nothing's changing. The guys that are coming back are like, this is the same old, just different people here. And you don't want to have that when you still have 14 games left to play. Now that you've won a game, you can start to gain that belief, and that's been a thing of the show here today. I mean, we are Bleav in Panthers, but
I mean it really, yeah.
Do you believe?
There's a lot of belief now that, hey, we're 1-2. It's only 3 games into the season. Anything can happen. We control our own destiny. But back to the Bryce thing real quick, I think it doesn't make any sense to trade him now, because, like I said, if you get to the end of the season and you get eliminated from playoff contention, then that would make complete sense to go ahead and throw Bryce back out there, because what do you have to lose at that point? You need to figure more out. By that time, he will have sat for a couple of months. You would hope he developed during that time. If he shows you something then okay, maybe he is your guy going to 25. If not, you have your answer. But it also comes from a value perspective too, because right now, if you trade Bryce Young, what are you going to get for him? I don't know. A mid-round pick?
A 4th pick?
You just don't do that in general, because we have to make sure we have depth at quarterback.
Yeah.
That's
not him. It's what, Jake Plummer? Like, it would be the backup if we traded him. So I mean
maybe, but like, I'm not saying his trade value is going to go through the roof in the offseason, but I think when you're talking about this in week 3, week 4, there's a lot of teams right now trying to figure out if they have the right answer at quarterback. Where you go into the offseason, there's going to be upwards of 7-8 teams that say, hey, we need a quarterback, and there's going to be a lot of competition trying to either trade, draft, sign someone in free agency. So I just think you need to let this thing play out, because Bryce may get another opportunity more than likely, and you'll have more data to go off of. I don't think you want to go off of an emotional decision when you're just a few games in. You have to be 100% sure when you make this decision on Bryce. You can't just say, we're going to move on from him, get a 4th-round pick, and then he's going to go light it up somewhere else. You can't have that happen.
That's literally what's going to happen, because that's literally every quarterback that's come through here the past 4 years. They come through here, the very next place they go, it's like.
Can I just make this like statement? Is Andy Dalton the best quarterback that they've had since Cam was healthy?
Yes.
Teddy Bridgewater played okay. I think we got rid of Teddy.
He was okay, but
I think Andy Dalton, just the 2 games he's played, right? He played two games.
Over 300 yards.
Well, 2 over 2 years. Yeah.
And he was throwing that rock.
Slinging that thing.
He was throwing that rock every time.
Sam started out on fire the first 3 games. Here, remember, we were 3-0.
And so, I forgot about Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
There's been so many quarterbacks, but but yeah, I mean, as far as potential, I say Sam Darnold, because he's younger, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Darnold's 26.
Arm talent, Sam Darnold, hands down. Like, Sam's always had the arm talent, like, out of all these quarterbacks that we've had through here.
But like, as far as Andy Dalton and where he's been in his career and be able to just tap into that, we haven't had that. We haven't had a guy in this position to just be able to tap into his toolbox and into his ability of being an elite quarterback. You know,
and he's hungry too, because he didn't think he'd get this opportunity again.
Luke
made three Pro Bowls means I've done some things. I've been elite.
Yeah.
Luke Kuechly made a great point with Kay Adams earlier this week about it, where he was talking about how not only did the Panthers win, but they made it look easy. And I was like, when was the last time we played a game where it looked easy and we won? I'm like, 2015, probably.
And Dave Canella said in that locker room, we ran the ball when we wanted to. We threw it over their heads
early. Like, they established that first drive. When they went all the way down and scored on that first drive, I was like, oh, we in for one today, because they literally looked. It looked like the team needed some. They wanted to follow someone, and the guy they were trying to follow, they just couldn't follow. And a shout out to Dave for and Dan Morgan and David Tepper.
Just the organization, period.
Yeah, just recognizing it early, because how many teams would have had the guts to do this after week 2 of the season, when the whole narrative nationally has been that Dave Canales is the quarterback whisperer. He's been brought in to help Bryce Young, and then the narrative shifted to, oh, you're giving up on him after 2 games? What is this about? And like Rex Ryan was on that, and all these other dudes that honestly, I wasn't even going to use the tell them why you're mad button today, because again, I'm floating. But it's almost like they don't watch our games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't watch the full games. They just watch clips. So like, they'll complain. I saw Nick Saban talk about, well, he hadn't had offensive line play. The offensive line has been fantastic this year with Bryce in there or Andy Dalton. Like, it's stuff like that where I'm like, okay, they're not really watching the games. Mina Kimes does, Dan Orlovsky does, and even Dan has come off of Bryce the past 2 weeks where he's like, you got to sit him. You got to sit him. Like, to save the kid from himself, you just got to sit him and just see what you have. But I don't expect to see Bryce in for the rest of the year. I think this is Andy's job the rest of the year. And Dave kind of commented on that yesterday at the press conference and was like, Andy's our quarterback. He'll be the starter on Sunday. And I think he said it in that way so that people would stop asking him. Like, don't ask me anymore. Like, this is the dude. Until we can't use him, it's him. So going forward, this is our thing. This is what we're doing. And that galvanizes the team. Like, all the work.
Which is like common sense. It's common sense.
Yeah, why are we going back to Bryce? Like, right now? Like, did you just see what we just did? Like, why don't we switch it all?
You know what? You know what is awesome about the leadership that's happening right now with the organization is, there's no ego. Right?
Yeah.
You draft your quarterback number 1, and a year later, you make the decision, a hard decision, to sit him. Like, that doesn't happen often. People ride that wave and try to be right, But the only way you're gonna be right is by winning games. And so last week they made the right decision. And everybody need to pick up their briefcase, go home, go to work, take care of your kids, whatever you got to do. But don't be questioning no more. I'm tired of this. We want a game. Enjoy this game. I know a lot of people that, jumped on the bandwagon of the Carolina Panthers when you moved to Charlotte, whatever it is, and you was expecting wins. Look, we finally got a win. Now, learn how to act like you know how to win.
I will say this, too, to the folks that are trying to troll, like online or whatever. Don't come after me. I am not the one, especially after we won a game. Like, I am not the one you want to go try to troll on Twitter right now, because I will spend time in my work day to flame you. Yeah. Like, literally. Like,
that's part of his work day.
That's that's on my resume. Like, don't mess with him after a Panther win. Do not troll him on Twitter. It's open mailbag in here. Carlos Edwards Jr. says Bryce's confidence is at all-time low. He's not going to feel confident or even comfortable being sat down, having the backup come in and light it up. Bryce does not want to be on this team. I don't know what Bryce wants. I don't really care, to be honest. Right now, it's fine. Like, he's a grown man. He'll figure it out. But I thought he looked fine on the sidelines. He, supporting, smiling, listening to Andy Dalton. That's what he's supposed to do. Let the kid learn. He's 21, 22. He sat a year behind Mac Jones at Alabama. Like, this ain't new for him. Like, this isn't the first time he's been benched or whatever, or didn't be the immediate starter. Just let him grow, let him adapt. And he learned behind a 70% thrower in Mac Jones at Alabama that won a national championship. Like, this is okay. This is fine. Bryce is okay.
All I'm going to say is I don't want to hear about Mac Jones.
Where is Mac Jones?
All right.
Jacksonville.
Ooh, that might be a good segue to around the league. Did y'all see
what I'll say one more thing about Bryce, because I don't know what it is with the national media. Like, I've just had this big, thing with the national media lately in terms of the Panthers and how they look at them. And, I understand things have been bad here, and I get completely if they want to pile on the Panthers in a bad way, because they've been bad. It's been really bad here. I understand that. But you have to have some context to your argument, because I mean, even the great Nick Saban, great coach, he and several others are sitting there saying, oh, they've done a terrible job with Bryce Young in terms of surrounding him with talent. No. Yes, they failed. They fumbled the bag a year ago with how they handled that situation with the head coach, the coaching search, the back and forth, the play calling. He fired the coach midseason. I completely think they fumbled the bag there. I think they fumbled it in terms of not having him sit right at the gate, out of the gate. But when you say that they didn't surround him with talent, get out of here with that lazy narrative. They signed Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis over $150 million combined. They traded for Deontay Johnson. They traded up to get Xavier Legette. They drafted Jatavian Sanders. They invested into the offense. There's not a lack of playmakers or guys up front to protect them anymore.
And
you've seen
Andy Dalton last year against the Seahawks
lit them up
with that personnel.
whatever talent they had last year.
So was that.
It was the operation looked very similar to what we saw yesterday.
Those folks just don't want to admit that it was Bryce, and we all know the Panther. We know this. We knew it. That's why when the change happened, we're like kind of silent, clapping it, like, all right, because we know, like we saw it. There was a clear, stark difference, and it's okay. It's okay because it'd be different if we didn't have something that we could put in there like Andy Dalton to kind of steady the ship. Like then this would be a much worse situation than what it is. But you're right, and we were one of the first pods where we admitted, yeah, we were on that Frank Wright train early. Like we got suckered into it. We looked at all the names we were bringing in, like, oh, this is gonna be great for Bryce. Actually, that was our main thing, that he was gonna be surrounded by all this football acumen or whatever. And then we were one of the first to admit, like, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, there's something going wrong, like, because it just didn't feel right. And we came off of that pretty fast. In season, we were kind of waiting for Frank to get fired. Actually, it wasn't going to be a surprise. And then when it happened, we're like, well, we thought it was driving
somewhere probably.
Yeah, I think you were going to Olive Garden or something like when it went down. So we were kind of expecting it to happen. So to kind of tie this all up in a bow, Bryce is going to be fine. Andy's going to continue doing what he's doing. I didn't see anything he did on Sunday that was like out of the ordinary for Andy Dalton. And a lot of it too, I think, in the NFL, as we segue over into our Around the NFL segment, and then we'll do Panthers Bengals preview, our keys. There's a lot of quarterbacks struggling to throw this year, starting out the gate, like around the league. Like there hadn't been a whole lot of. What was the stat going into the game Sunday? I think Gardner Minshew was the only quarterback that had thrown for over 250 yards in both weeks or something like that. Gardner Minshew. Wow. So it was like just something weird was going on for Andy to be the quarterback. For Andy, he's the only quarterback this year to throw for 300 yards in a game and 3 touchdowns. Pat Mahomes hasn't done it. Lamar Jackson hasn't done it. Josh Allen might have did it last night. Actually, I didn't see the final in that game because I was there. Yeah, they like, dude, I don't even like Jacksonville got smoked. What is going on with Jacksonville? Like, I wrote down who do you think's the best and the worst teams in the NFL right now, excluding the Panthers, for either one. So, like, after seeing everything over the weekend and then watching the Bills last night, are the Bills the best team in football right now? They're 3-0.
I'm going with the Vikings.
The Vikings are 3-0. Like, I don't think anybody had that on the Bengal card.
Brian Flores got them boys playing defense like Purple Rain.
Yeah,
them blitzes, boy.
Sam Darnold is just cooking right now.
Sam Darnold out there throwing out of his mind.
I did not have Minnesota doing this, and then Kansas City. This is the scary part, because remember when we did our win-loss stuff earlier in the year, and we were trying to figure out who's going to be in the Super Bowl, and we all kind of landed on Chiefs versus whatever. I think it was Chiefs. We did Chiefs 49ers. No, I think it was Chiefs Eagles. I don't know. Chiefs
Lions, I believe.
Chiefs Lions, yeah, I think that's what. But our point was, we all picked the Chiefs. We were like, why are we even playing the season? Like, they're going to just do whatever, and they're not even playing well. Like, Kansas City's not playing well right now. They have not hit that gear they normally do, and they're 3-0. Like, Travis Kelce's non-existent. Like, he's not even doing anything. Those receivers they got though, Rice and Worthy's not just a one-trick pony. He's not just the fast dude. Like, he's good. Like, and they're starting to incorporate him in certain plays where they can get him in space and he just gets it and just beeline, like straight line, like up the field. There ain't a lot of dudes in the league that's gonna be able to catch him. So they got some stuff to deal with, but they're 3-0. Then you got teams that are like Baltimore's 1-2. Dallas is 1-2.
Dallas right now, man, look.
I don't know, man.
They ain't got it.
I don't know what.
We tried to tell them.
That boy was over there. High hope. He's got.
They look great. Week one.
Got high.
You know their problem? It's the same thing we saw in that playoff
game.
Hoops. They're not built to tackle. Like, they're
not built to do anything.
They ain't built to play football, boy.
Derrick Henry just running through them like a hot knife through butter, like on Sunday. Like, just
this is exactly the perfect example of week one overreactions, because everyone said, "Oh, the Cowboys are going to be great this year," but we all forgot that the Browns were without their 2 starting offensive tackles that game.
True.
And then what's happened since?
So,
I mean,
man,
like some of these teams around the league, like I think some of these 3-0 teams are just. They're 3-0 just by product of their schedule so far. And it's too early in the year to start saying, "Oh, just because the Steelers are 3-0, they're going to win the AFC North." No, pump the brakes. That's not going to happen.
Man,
They're
they,
good.
They,
You know what?
they,
You know what?
But the
They
Ravens
could.
are gonna win that division.
Yeah, it's ugly. I could see them winning like this all year, like literally just like 9 to 7 rock fights, like with Justin Fields completing like 14 to 14, but they're all like
But they're not
5-yard
going to
outs.
get the Ravens. They're not going to top the Ravens for the division.
I don't think so.
I
Pittsburgh's
mean,
got a good defense.
the way the Ravens look, you got Derrick Henry basically taking a machine gun
Yeah,
and blasting it through paper. Like, why do you bring a machine gun to a paper fight?
it looked like the what was the Saturday Night Live skit where it's like a big, huge, like 13-year-old kid. He's playing against like 6-year-olds, and he's just like running, like just literally just stiff arming kids out there. That's Derrick Henry. Like literally, the Cowboys could not figure out how to wrap their arms around him.
Are you talking about Peyton Manning when he was
Yeah,
out
when
there
he's
doing
like
them
throwing
kids
the
wrong?
football at the kids, hitting them in the head and stuff. That's what it felt like watching Derrick Henry against the Cowboys. It felt like a grown adult decided to put himself in a Pop Warner game and just decided to just run for 300 yards and tape the whole thing and put it on Twitter. So, like, I don't know what the Cowboys can't fix this in the middle of the season. Like, they were small in that playoff game when Green Bay ran past them. Like, that was part of their problem. They couldn't tackle anybody. And again, they didn't fix anything in the offseason. They were like, you know what? We're good. We're just going to roll out 12 wins and we'll see what happens in January. I think they think it's January now. Like, I think they think they're in January. So I don't know what's going to happen to the Cowboys because the Eagles look like they might run away with that division.
I think the worst team's got to be Tennessee. They're 0-3. Will Levis is completing passes at a high rate, but don't be fooled because he's throwing 5 picks and he's taking like 15 sacks.
The mayonnaise eater. Like he's got some weird turnovers too. Have you seen some of the turnovers he's had?
Will
I
Levis?
swear everyone's in the red zone.
Yeah, man.
He's
I don't
doing
know,
weird
dude.
stuff.
Like,
I don't know.
There's something. Hopefully, he gets better. You know, I don't want to write him off too soon, just because I just feel bad. Because you know what? You know who is balling right now?
Malik Willis.
But
they're protecting him. They're running the ball like 45 times. Like, I mean,
hey,
that's
whatever you got to
what you
do, man. Manage the game, get better, stay afloat. Hey, let's win these games. Wait for Jordan Love to get back. But they doing it.
That he suited up actually Sunday. So we'll see if he's gonna play in the next like week or two. Also,
let's talk about Jaden Daniels.
Yeah,
dog.
Yeah,
that boy right there had a game. And I mean, I turned the TV on and started watching. There was a run where he scrambled to the right, picked up a first down, but he did it so nonchalant. Made a guy miss on the sideline. You saw that, Schuyler? And it was like a 3-yard game, but it was like so nonchalant. I'm just like, you just gonna do this all game.
You got some folks.
I'm a big Jaden Daniels fan. Remember?
Oh, you've been saying it, and you actually turned me onto it because we was talking about Caleb Williams, and we weren't really too sold on Caleb Williams, but things started coming out, and we're like, okay, Caleb Williams is that guy, and I think Caleb Williams still has all the potential in the world, but as far as rookie preparation and readiness, Jaden Daniels is that guy.
He may mess around and get them to be a wild card team,
bro. They 2-1.
Hey, the main takeaway I took from this weekend was that the NFL was drunk. Like this weekend, literally, like you got Andy Dalton doing something no quarterback has done yet this year. You got just random teams that are like Minnesota's 3-0. Like,
were they drunk or maybe were they sober?
Nah, the whole league's been
maybe everything's sober. Maybe everything's sobered up right now. Like, I can see clearly now.
Some of this stuff don't make sense. Like Baltimore is 1-2, and they're 1-2 off of a toenail, and they lost to the Raiders last Sunday. Like, and they feel like they should be 2-1. Like that, the Saints dropped 90 points in the first 2 weeks, and then had whatever that was against the Eagles on Sunday. Like. Basically like a rock fight all day, and then the Eagles won that game. Shout out to Philly for helping us out. I don't know. It might be too early to say. It's easy to say the Chiefs are probably the best team in the league. They're not playing like the best team.
They
in the
aren't
league.
until they aren't, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, I mean, you got to beat a man, you got to beat the man, pretty much. And it's Kansas City, and I think everybody's kind of looking.
They kind of had a slow start to the season last year.
But the difference between them and Cincy is that they
different-
still win those games. Like Cincy will lose these games in the beginning and then dig out of a hole. Kansas City just figures out a way to win no matter what, and they'll end up.
With that, they sometimes have the refs help too.
Even last night.
Ooh,
even last night,
saucy. Like
when Joe hit Jamar Chase for that big touchdown, like right out of the gate, I'm like, all right, maybe this is the week they get back on track. And then they just played from behind the 8 ball the whole night. So
yeah, that's perfect segue into our final segment, which is our 3 keys to Panthers Bengals. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox at Bank of America Stadium. The Panthers back home. What's the main thing we need to do here? I was worried about our secondary, but we need to give a shout out to Dan Morgan, because the moves that Dan Morgan has made, like just through the draft, getting draft picks back, who they kind of picked. Trevor Wallace played this week, which I was actually asking for. They had Shaq, Josie Jewell, and Wallace out there at the same time in some of those sets, which was great. But some of the pickups he did in free agency, like Mike Jackson might be cornerback number 2, like, you know, on this defense.
Mike Jack was telling them them boys to beat it. He was doing all kind of stuff. Like, I mean, the way he's a big corner too. So we got 2 big corners. We're basically looking at the formation, like the creation of a Seattle type defense, like right? As far as the Legion of Boom,
yeah,
and big corners, right? Active safeties, like just in there, like playing physical ball. You got those big DBs, man. You can't really run on the edges, right? Especially because they're coming up. But yeah, Mike Jack had a really good game. JC locked down. I mean, Devontae Adams was struggling. I mean, he had the ball in his hands and ball
just his name.
Coming out. Just slapped out of his hand. Get that ball out your hand. You know.
I almost forgot he was even out there for parts of the game. And that was something too. Like Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, like their dudes, rarely heard their names on Sunday. Like
they got shut down.
They got shut down.
You had a Panthers team that believed in the game plan.
So
trusted the game.
So what does Carolina need to do to keep this thing going at home against the Bengals, who are going to come in? They're going to come in hungry, and like you guys said earlier in the show, their backs are going to be against the wall. They're 0-3, and they're in a conference in a division that has 3-0 Steelers, and the Browns. Like they may have found out, you know, everything with Deshaun, and they're getting right. And then you got Baltimore. Baltimore's going to be in it, and I don't care if they're 1-2 or whatever. Right now, they're going to figure it out. So what do you do with this Bengal team coming in? Last time we played the Bengals, was that the one they were up like 35-0, like in the
2022. 2022 up there.
They beat us. I remember that. It was a bad game.
Was that Steve Wilkes' first or second game?
I think it was. Yeah, they won it was out of hand early. It was like 35-7 or something at the half. But it was a away game, and it was the first of the Steve Wilkes era or whatnot, and they were trying to figure things out. But they're coming here. Jamar Chase out here arguing with referees, getting fined for it. They got a situation internally, it feels like, there where the Jamar Chase contract thing is kind of a cloud over what they're trying to do. What's the name? What does Carolina need to do? Because that's the thing too on Sunday. It wasn't about what the Raiders did. It was about what we did. Like what do we need to do to impose ourselves on the Bengals and get what we did Sunday, continue it going? Stu, you want to go first?
Sorry, I was muted there. But I mean, first of all, Cincinnati's defense, right? I mean, they're stout at the linebacker position, straight up. You got Davis, Gaither, Wilson, Pratt. I mean, these guys, they can lay the hat. So we got to make sure that we, as an offense, are still committing to the run game. We have to wear those guys out. We have to make them run. And as far as the offensive line and the scheme, we got to make sure we're getting off of we're not spending too much time if we're on zone schemes. We're not spending too much time helping guys out. We got to get to the second level. Once you get to the second level in our blocking schemes and getting a hand on those backers, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to make to cover some ground in the run game. But I will say, we got to establish the run early. Establish it early, because you know who's on the other side of that ball on offense. We want to play. We don't want. He's already pissed off. All that.
I was just reading that. Yeah, he's not very happy. They're 0-3.
So let's try to not play scared, but just play smart. Play your game. Do what we do, which is run the ball, throw it over their heads, and play defense. Straight up.
Schuyler, what's the main key for you for them to keep this party going?
I mean, I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of Stu there because I'm a run the ball first type of person. I think you have to. I mean, Chuba, this is kind of an opportunity for him to really establish himself as not only. I mean, he's the clear number one back right now here, but I'm talking about around the league. Like, hey, Chuba Hubbard's a guy. So there's that, but I want to go a little bit more unconventional here in terms of our key to the game because when you have a team that's coming in 0-3 and they're pissed off, they're not feeling good, they're upset with each other, there's a little frustration boiling on the sideline or in the locker room, you can get under their skin a little bit. So I'm going to come in and say, punch them in the mouth and give them a little bad attitude at the beginning of this game. Force a turnover, talk to them, shove them after the play, get them flustered early in the game. If you get up, say 10-0, that thing, and I'm not saying they're going to go and just cruise past Cincinnati, but you can get them rattled early on the road and their backs are against the wall. That's what you need to do. You need to come out and start fast, defensively, offensively, special teams. And I know that could be a key every week, but especially when you're playing a team that's really searching for answers and pissed off right now, that's the way to do it.
I'm going to go with it. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's kind of like when y'all got siblings.
Oh, yeah.
2 younger sisters.
So when your brother or sister get in trouble, right? and they in the room crying, and you go by that room, you look in there, you say, "You good?" and maybe you got a toy or something like, I'm playing with this toy, or you got,
look at this transformer.
You got a nice little donut, little cookie. You sitting there eating that. You good? I told you not to play with that. You got a whooping, huh? Okay.
I'm good. I'm going to go with the same exact thing I said last week, and they actually went out and did it. Score first. You got to score first because I do feel like even though everything was great, I don't know if this team is a team that can play from behind. I think they're much better playing ahead because then they can kind of let loose. We saw the return of Youre's defense, which we hadn't really touched on a whole lot today. That was the best game they played all season. They were getting maligned a lot by the fans and the media in terms of basically just letting people run through them, and that just came to a stop on Sunday. Which I'm surprised because no Derek Brooks, no Shot Tuttle in the middle, and they just seem more galvanized. Like they just seem like they believe more in what they were doing. And I think from that Raider game, it's doesn't seem like it happens very often where you can carry momentum from one week to the next. Some teams can do it and get on a snowball and just kind of roll and get it going that way. But more often than not, it's kind of a week-to-week type thing. It feels like being around a lot of other teams. I think they can really take what they did last week and really apply it to this week because now it's like, okay, all the work we did in the preseason, all the stuff we've heard from Dave Canales, Dan Morgan, we now went out and did it the way he wants to do it. It worked. And not only did it work, it looked easy. Like the practice week was hard. Like you get to Sunday and Sunday's fun. Like when you start playing like that. So score first. Continue this formula of working Chuba Hubbard. I can't wait till they get Jonathan Brooks in this offense and starts to run behind this offensive line with Chuba. That's where it's going to be really fun to me to watch. And just let Andy cook, man. Like Andy was just throwing some stuff where Bryce wouldn't have even looked that direction. Like he wouldn't have looked 20 yards downfield or that throw to Thielen. Bryce would have never tried to throw that this year as it stands right now. Andy did it comfortably and on point. And accurately, like no one else could get to that ball but Thielen, and Thielen made the catch. And like wide receivers are going to play for you when you're going to do that. You saw Deontay Johnson with extra, hop in his step. Xavier Legette's out there on the field playing. Get the lead early, run the ball early, stop the run from the Bengals early, and get Joe Burrow uncomfortable. He's called Joe Cool for a reason, but he has had moments where the offense just ain't offensing right, and he sputters. And you can get that going, get underneath their skin, like you guys were saying. I think they can get another win. I really do. I think if they play like they played Sunday against the 0-3 Bengals, why shouldn't I expect them to win at home?
If if Andy Dalton does what he did this past Sunday again, he's going to have people writing his name on the bottom of their shoes like the kid did in Toy Story with Woody.
We're going to start seeing
Andy's
T-shirts and yeah, man. So that's Panthers, Bengals. I've said it wrong the past 2 weeks, and for some reason I can't get tabs to pull up on my computer here. I want to say it's a Fox game. They've been on CBS the past 2 weeks.
I got it right here.
Yeah,
it's on TV. Just say it's on TV, Desmond.
1 o'clock on Fox.
Or just go up to Bank of America Stadium.
Go
to the bank.
Yeah, show up. I'm thinking I might try
to the bank, man.
Myself.
Packed out. I don't want to see no black or orange jerseys in there. Besides the guys on the field.
We should have a Bleav and Panthers extra later this week. I was supposed to have Jim Zoki with me on my regular radio show last week. And we bumped it. Yeah, we bumped it to this upcoming week. So
Jim.
I'll talk to Jim a little bit later on this week. We'll have that there too. So some extra content for you on the Bleav Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe to all of our platforms. Go through Bleav. The audio is available on all major platforms: Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast there. The video is always here. It's Back Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. We're live throughout the year on Tuesdays at 10:30 during the season. If something happens, news or something like that, we might pop in like we did an extra episode last week. And shout out to everybody that came in and watched both episodes from last week as we were getting ready to play the Raiders. Now we get to go in with some momentum for the first time. When was the last game we won before Sunday? It was what
Atlanta last year.
Last year, so it was what, December?
Yeah, 9-7, and both of those games were, I believe, walk-off field goals. They didn't even lead in the game till the end.
Didn't lead. So when we were up 7-0, it was the first time we had led in a game since like 2022 or something like that. So Panther fans, enjoy it. Don't bicker with each other on social media right now. Enjoy the rest of this week. Enjoy the feeling of your team not being talked about in a negative manner. As much as it was prior on national media. And this is a brick that they can keep stacking with Dave Canales and Dan Morgan and these guys. And shout out to David Tepper for letting them do their jobs, man. Like, let the football people do the football stuff. And it seems like he's doing that. He can be in the locker room, enjoying the win with his team. He owns it. So shout out to him too. And shout out to the Panther fans that have stuck around, because it's been hard, man. It's been hard the past couple of years. And now we got something to finally look forward to at the beginning of the season for the first time in a long time. So come check us out next week. Make sure you rate and subscribe. All episodes are available on the Bleav Podcast Network, brought to you by Bleav. Oh, you know what? We never talked about your hats, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we completely.
This melon hat? Love this hat.
We're an hour and 7 minutes in, but
it's waterproof.
Comfortable fit.
If you're out there on a boat or at a pool or washing dishes and you accidentally drop your hat into the water,
that baby ain't gonna sink.
No, it ain't gonna sink because it floats and it's water repellent. But mostly when you are outside coaching a football game, for your youth football team or high school, middle school football, whatever you're doing right now, you can wear this hat and you can sweat and it won't ruin your hat. You know how you get them hats?
Get those salt lines.
Yeah.
You don't get none of that with this hat right here, man. This is high performance, man. So shout out to Melon.
Yeah, you can go to Melon, a new sponsor for Bleav. Go to melon.com. It's spelled MELIN.com. MELIN.com. Put it to the test yourself. It's the world's most durable hat, and I promise we'll read it much, much earlier next week. My hat's not here. Like, I got a notification on my phone that it's going to be here on the 25th, and that's tomorrow.
Yeah, man. So. Look, Desmond, and they make hats in all shapes and sizes because Desmond's got a large melon on him.
I don't wear hats. I literally don't wear hats at all. Like, Schuyler wears them all the time. You wear them all the time. Y'all ain't never seen me with a hat on this podcast.
Have I ever not worn a hat on this show? I feel like I've always worn a hat.
I think you have. Yeah. I think you have. I've never worn a hat on this show. So I might be in a hat tomorrow or next week when you see it. So we got to get out of here. For Schuyler, Callihan, and Jonathan Stewart, this is Desmond Johnson. You've been watching and listening to the Bleav in Panthers podcast on Bleav Podcast Networks. Keep having it. All right. It didn't end. Hold on. What is going on?
Somebody said drop that link for the hat.
Bleav
It's
Bleav
I
it's
believe
on.
it.
Like it won't let
After-
me stop it.
after
Like, hold on.
hours.
I don't know why it's that's interesting. It's like it won't let us leave. It won't let us out.
Don't leave.
Bleav in Panthers
Don't
after hours.
leave me,
Talk amongst
girl.
yourselves. Let me figure this out. I don't know what's I don't know what's happening here. Let us out. Let us out. We got stuff to do.
Let us go.
Oh, I don't know why it's doing this. Just,
Maybe we are off. No, we are still.
I don't know.
We are still on, ladies and gentlemen. You are now listening to an extended version of the Bleav in Panthers Network.